Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're getting into something really common actually. That feeling. You know the one you understand English perfectly, maybe you read it all the time, but when it's your turn to speak, nothing. Your mouth just kind of freezes up. Sound familiar?
Oh, it's incredibly familiar to so many learners. It's maybe the biggest frustration point. And what our sources dig into today is, well, a pretty surprising idea. That freeze. It's likely not your fault, not your memory failing, not your intelligence. The maybe tough truth is, you've probably been trying to learn spoken English the wrong way.
Okay, hang on. The wrong way? That's a big statement. What do you mean wrong?
Well, think about how English is usually taught. It's treated like history or biology, right?
Right.
Rules, vocabulary lists, reading text. You study it, you memorize it.
Yeah, like a typical school subject.
Exactly. But the sources we looked at argue really strongly that speaking fluency isn't primarily a school subject skill. It's a physical skill. Think about learning, say, dancing or swimming or driving a car.
Right. You can't just read a book about swimming and then jump in the deep end.
Precisely. You have to physically do it. You have to train your body. Speaking, they argue, is exactly the same. It's a habit built in the mouth.
Okay, that analogy clicks. Like, I can understand song lyrics perfectly fine. That's mental. But actually singing them fluently, that involved my vocal cords, my breath, my mouth shaping the sounds. That's physical.
You've nailed it.
Right.
And that brings us to the core idea, this sort of big truth about fluency. It relies on two different kinds of memory working together.
Two kinds. Okay, what are they?
So first, there's your mental memory. That's your brain. It holds all the vocabulary, the grammar rules you've learned, your understanding. That's the part that lets you read this, understand this. Now it says, yep, I know what I want to say.
All right, the brain's database. It's full of English knowledge.
Exactly. But then there's the second type, muscle memory. And this isn't stored in the brain, not primarily. It's in your body. For
Right.
speaking, it's specifically in your lips, your tongue, your jaw, even your breathing muscles. This is what allows for automatic actions, typing without looking, riding a bike, and yes, speaking smoothly without consciously thinking about every single sound.
Ah, okay. So the breakdown happens when?
It happens when your brain, using its mental memory, formulates a perfect English sentence. It thinks, got it. Right. But then it sends that instruction out of the mouth. And the mouth, which relies on muscle memory, basically replies, hang on, I've never actually made that sequence of movements before.
Because it spent years speaking a different language, or maybe just thinking in English but not actually saying it out loud much.
Precisely. The delivery system, the mouth, hasn't been trained for automaticity in English. It hasn't built the muscle memory. So fluency requires training the mouth to instantly, smoothly execute the messages the brain already holds.
Okay, but I can hear a question popping up for some listeners. If I just focus on training my mouth, the muscle memory part, am I going to end up just speaking fast but maybe badly? Like ignoring all the grammar I learned?
That's a really important point. And no, the goal isn't to throw grammar out the window.
Yeah.
Not at all. The purpose of this physical training is to automate the delivery of the grammar and vocabulary you already know. Think of a pianist practicing scales over and over. When they perform a complex piece, they aren't consciously thinking, okay, finger goes here for C sharp.
No, their fingers just know where to go. It's automatic.
Exactly. It's muscle memory.
Mm.
That frees up their conscious mind to focus on the music, the expression, the feeling. It's the same for speaking. We train the mechanics, the mouth movements, so your brain can focus on the message, the connection, the actual conversation, not struggling with the physical act of forming the words.
That really reframes it. Okay, so if the problem is physical, the solution needs to be physical too. What does the source material suggest? Is there like a specific workout routine for your mouth?
There is, and it's designed to be practical. They call it the daily fluency gym.
Mm-hmm.
It's a simple 5-exercise routine. Takes about 10 minutes a day.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And the beauty is, you don't need a teacher there. You don't need a conversation partner. You don't even need to feel confident to start. Just you and your mouth.
Right, 10 minutes a day, 5 exercises. This sounds like the kind of actionable thing people are looking for. Let's break it down. Exercise 1.
Exercise 1, first 2 minutes, the stretch.
The stretch. Like Yoga for your mouth?
Kind of, yeah. You could call it speaking yoga.
Yeah.
It has two key goals.
Yeah.
First, physically warm up your lips, your jaw, release any tension there, get your breath flowing. But just as importantly, it's about a psychological shift.
Okay, tell me about that shift.
Well, often that feeling of freezing up comes with physical tension, right? Tight jaw, shallow breath. That's fear manifesting physically. The stretch involves intentionally relaxing that, maybe standing up, breathing deeply, looking in a mirror even. And you say specific lines, slowly, clearly. Things like, I am here, I can speak, I don't need to be perfect, I need to be free. You're consciously moving yourself from being a passive student waiting to be called on to an active speaker who is choosing to use their voice right now.
I like that. Setting the intention both physically and mentally. Okay, 2 minutes of the stretch. What's next? Exercise 2.
Exercise 2, next 2 minutes. The drill. This is where we build speed and rhythm.
The drill. Sounds intense.
It's about repetition. This exercise specifically targets training your lips and tongue using clusters of words that sound similar. You take a cluster and repeat it maybe 3 times, getting faster each time.
Why similar sounding words? Why not just practice normal sentences?
Good question. Because these specific clusters are like targeted resistance training for your mouth muscles. They force precise movements. For example, a cluster focusing on P and B sounds, which use both lips. Paper, pepper proper, pretty perfect purpose. Saying that quickly, 3 times in a row, forces your lips to become more agile, faster, smoother. It gets rid of that stiffness.
So it's like doing quick sprints for specific muscle groups in your mouth.
Exactly. Another example might be better but better, 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 better bottom bitterly. Try saying that fast. When you push your mouth like that, when you go back to normal conversation speed, it feels much easier. The muscles are primed, they're warmed up, they're sharper.
Okay, makes sense. Targeted workout. Then exercise 3, another 2 minutes. The tongue twister challenge. Aren't tongue twisters just kid stuff? How does Peter Piper picked a peck help me in a business meeting?
Well, they feel like fun, but physiologically, they're incredibly demanding. They are the ultimate coordination test for your tongue and lips. They're specifically designed to force clarity between sounds that are very close together and easy to muddle, like S and SH or TH sounds.
Like scales for a musician again, practicing the really tricky bits.
Precisely. Take, she sells seashells on the seashore. Saying it slowly is one thing, trying to say it clearly, but faster. That forces your tongue to make very precise, sharp movements. Or try. 30 thirsty thinkers thought thrilling thoughts. That TH sound is notoriously tricky. Drilling it makes your normal speech clearer. You're basically fine-tuning your articulation, making everything crisper and reducing mushiness.
Okay, warm up, speed drills, articulation sharpening. We're at minute 6. Exercise 4.
Exercise 4, 2 minutes. Sentence stretching. This one bridges the physical practice with how you actually think and form sentences. A lot of learners tend to translate word by word from their native language in their head. This causes pauses, breaks in flow. It sounds unnatural. Sentence. Stretching trains your brain to think and speak in longer, complete English thoughts, like stretching an elastic band and letting it go smoothly.
Okay, how do you actually do the stretch?
You start with a very simple core idea, even just a single word like I or English. Then you immediately expand that into a full, grammatically decent sentence without planning it too much. So I could become, I want to speak better English every single day with confidence and clarity. Or English is important for my career, so I practice speaking it aloud daily.
Yeah.
You're training yourself to produce a whole chunk of language fluidly, rather than assembling it piece by piece. It builds that natural expressive flow.
Got it. Training the brain-to-mouth connection for longer thoughts. Okay, final 2 minutes, exercise 5.
Exercise 5, your identity voice. This is perhaps the most important one for long-term change.
Identity voice, what does that mean?
It means speaking not just as someone practicing sounds, but as the fluent speaker you are becoming. It's about embedding the belief. Fluency isn't just mechanics, it's tied to your self-image, your confidence. So for these 2 minutes, you focus on speaking with power, with emotion, with conviction. Often done looking in a mirror, you say strong, affirming statements. Not hopes, but declarations. Things like, I am an English speaker. Mistakes. I don't fear them. I welcome them as part of learning. My voice matters. My words matter.
Wow, so you're connecting the physical practice to a deeper sense of self.
Exactly. You're training your mouth not just to make sounds, but to deliver your voice with the authority and belief of the fluent person you are stepping into being. It makes the practice feel real and purposeful.
Okay, that's a powerful 10-minute routine. Stretch, drill, tongue twisters, sentence stretching, identity voice. But, doing the exercises is one thing. There's still the mental side, right? The fear, the hesitation, the sources called them invisible enemies. How does this routine help with those?
That's crucial. The physical practice directly combats those enemies. Take the biggest one, fear of mistakes, the obsession with perfection. Trying to be perfect paralyzes you. You won't even start the 10-minute routine if you're waiting for perfection. But this routine forces you to move your mouth, even if it's clumsy at first. The core message is, perfect sentences only come from lots of imperfect practice. You have to speak first to get better.
Right. And what about the second enemy? That constant overthinking in your head, worrying about grammar rules, finding the exact right word.
Overthinking kills flow, instantly. You're trying to have a conversation, not pass a grammar exam. When you drill the physical movements daily, you start to automate them. Your mouth just knows how to form common phrases and sounds. This bypasses the overthinking brain. The words start to flow more automatically, leaving your conscious mind freer to just communicate.
So the physical practice actually rewires the mental habits too.
It has to. And it requires adopting some new core beliefs. The sources really emphasize this shift in mindset.
Yeah, like thinking, I'm not just learning English, I am becoming an English speaker. That's a different energy.
Totally different. Or the idea, my mouth is my teacher.
Right.
Recognizing that the physical act itself provides the feedback and learning.
And maybe the most practical one, I speak first, I fix later. Just get the words out.
Absolutely. And underpinning all of this is the belief that confidence isn't something you wait for. It's a muscle. You build it through these small daily actions like this 10-minute routine.
Which brings us to consistency, that don't break the chain idea, doing it every day, even if it's short.
Non-negotiable. According to the sources, fluency isn't built in grand gestures like one long conversation a month. It's forged in those quiet, consistent moments when nobody's watching, that daily 10 minutes.
And the sources get pretty stark about what happens if you don't maintain that consistency. They lay out 3 laws of fluency maintenance.
Yeah, they're quite direct. Law 1 is, if you don't speak, you shrink.
Shrink. What shrinks?
Your confidence shrinks. Your speaking rhythm fades. That muscle memory you built starts to stiffen up again, just like an athlete loses condition if they stop training. You actively regress.
Okay, so staying still is actually moving backward. Law 2.
Law 2. If you don't use it, you lose it. All that vocabulary, those grammar structures, stored in your mental memory. If you don't actively retrieve them and say them out loud regularly, they become harder to access, they get dusty. You find yourself searching for simple words you know. Use it or lose it.
Right. Makes sense. And the final law, Law 3, this one sounds pretty intense.
It is. Law 3, you are either building fluency or building fear.
No middle ground.
According to this perspective, no. Every single day, you make a choice. If you choose silence, if you avoid that 10-minute practice or that conversation because you're afraid, you are actively reinforcing the fear. You're training your brain to associate speaking with anxiety and avoidance. Your fear gets stronger. But every time you do speak, even just saying those identity voice lines in the mirror, you're training fluency. You're weakening the fear. You're making your future voice louder. It's an active daily battle. Fluency versus fear.
Wow. That really puts the power and the responsibility back on the individual, doesn't it? It transforms the whole process. You're not just passively learning anymore. You're actively training as a speaker. The focus shifts completely from memorizing rules to simply moving your mouth consistently.
That's the absolute core takeaway from the material we reviewed. Fluency isn't some mystical gift only talented people get. It's not a luxury. It's presented as a habit, a physical skill, and ultimately a choice. It demands persistence, that daily commitment, far more than it demands perfection. You just need your mouth and the decision to use it.
So let's bring this home for you, the listener. The sources suggest that somewhere inside you, perhaps buried under layers of silence and hesitation, there's already a fluent, confident, expressive version of you waiting. The question is, what single physical step will you take today? Maybe just 30 seconds of the stretch, maybe attempting one tongue twister to start unlocking that version. Knowing this, every time you choose silence, the fear arguably gets stronger, but every time you choose to speak, no matter how small the step, your future gets louder. Which path will you choose?